Today, we're going to take a first look at the 7 Artisan 55mm f1.4 manual lens on the Fuji X-T3 and the Fuji X-H1. Let's go! What's up everybody? Phil with Photo Gear Fun here. Today we're going to look at the 7 Artisan 55mm f1.4 lens on the Fuji systems. We're going to look at the X-H1 and the X-T3. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. We do review videos like this all the time. Also click on that bell icon if you do subscribe. If you are a subscriber, welcome back. I really appreciate you taking the time to view this video. So here it is on the X-H1. It is a very small lens. It's all metal construction. f1.4 is a big selling point. This can go from f1.4 to f16. It's an 82.5mm equivalent at 55mm. So this is a great portrait lens, and that's really the way that I would use it. We'll talk about that a little bit more. It's got multi-layer coating that's supposed to help with flaring and ghosting. It's got depth of field and distance indicators on there that you can see. That really helps you out. 14 blade diaphragm. It's got 6 elements in 5 groups, and it comes with a clickless aperture. So for video users, that might be something that's useful. For photography, I'm not sure, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So what I want to do is I'm going to show you some pictures, show you some video, come back and we'll talk a little bit more about this 7 Artisans 55mm f1.4 lens. So here are some pictures first from the X-T3, all straight out of camera. This is my willing model, Suki. You can see at f1.4, thin depth of field. Another shot here. You can see kind of in the corners that there's a lot of detail. You look at the ear and the fur in the ear. Same here. I'm not sure why the white balance is a little messed up. It could be a camera thing, but it looks pretty sharp. You can see that front eye here is in focus. The other eye is slightly out of focus at f1.4. That's kind of what you expect. And here's one. That is not CA, that's actually from the television. I just thought this was a cute shot. This is taken with the X-H1. Another one with the X-H1 to show you some CA. If you look around his ears, you can see a little kind of pink-purple fringing. Also, if you look on the curtains on the left, you can see that there's a little bit of magenta or green fringing. So there is some CA wide open at f1.4. And I thought this shot was cute. I'm going to show you some video first from the X-T3 and then from the X-H1. The X-T3 does not have in-body stabilization, so here's the video from the X-T3. You can see the lens looks really good. I like the way it renders videos. The colors look really good. It's not necessarily the most stable since there's no stabilization built into the lens. There's no stabilization in the body of the X-T3. But I guess in a pinch it might do. It's really not all that bad. I've seen worse, but wouldn't use it on any project. Here's the X-H1 with IBIS on. You can see this video is definitely smoother, and there are differences in the video rendering for a lot of different reasons between the X-H1 and the X-T3, but I think with the X-H1 you could probably use this video as well. It helps with photos too, so you can get a slower shutter speed with the photos, and that's kind of what I did with the X-H1. So that is the video and the pictures. Now we'll wrap this up. Well, those were the pictures in the video. I don't know that many folks will use this for video, but I wanted to give you some video samples. Anyway, so this again is the lens. The build quality is really, really great. This feels like a premium lens. It does extend out a little bit as I showed earlier when you're focusing. The clickless aperture ring, and you can see how wide this thing opens. f1.4 there, down to f16. The corner sharpness, I think it's okay in the real world. I've seen some reviews that do lab type tests in the corners, and it's, you know, it's soft in the corners, but if you're using it for a portrait lens, and you kind of saw in one of the pictures in the corner, maybe not the extreme corner, I still think the sharpness is acceptable. So who is this lens for? This lens, first of all, definitely a portrait lens. It's manual focus, manual everything. There are no connections whatsoever, so you don't get any EXIF information, nor do you get autofocus. So it's for somebody who is comfortable with or wants to become comfortable with manually focusing. And on the Fuji, the great thing is we have some great focus assist modes. I actually set my focus to manual mode, and then you can press it in the middle dial and you'll actually get a focus magnifier, which is great, and also focus peaking. If you're going to use this for portraits, I think it's a great lens. It's going to give you close to the 85mm equivalent. That f1.4 aperture opens up obviously to let in a lot of light, so it's good for portraits to blow out that background. Also good in low light situations. You do need some working distance, so like a lot of 85mm lenses are in that range. You'll have to get decently far away from your subject, but it's not too bad. You can actually use it inside. Those pictures of the cat were taken inside, so I really think that this is a good, again, lens for portraits. If you're going to try to chase a cat around like I did, it's a little bit tough to get a cat who's quick moving, especially a kitten, with a manual focus lens. But for portraits and subjects that aren't moving all that much, I think it's great. The pros, f1.4, obviously the price is $130, really inexpensive. You would expect far less quality in that price range. It's built solidly. It looks like it's going to last, and it's really compact, so this is really easy to carry, and it's pretty light. The con, you know, there's a little bit of chromatic aberration, as you saw. I don't think it's really too bad. If you're going to use JPEGs out of the camera, then you know you can't correct that easily. But if you're going to shoot RAW, you can easily correct that in Lightroom with just a click of a button. The one thing I will say is I'm not a huge fan as a photographer who doesn't do a lot of video, or I won't be using this lens a lot for video. I'm not a huge fan of this clickless aperture. It is very smooth. It does move with a little bit of friction, but I find that sometimes in just normal handling, it will move and I don't expect it. So I'm at f2 instead of f1.4. Not a big deal once you get used to it. Just make sure that you check your aperture first, but it does move around a little bit. Overall, I can definitely highly recommend this lens for somebody who's looking for manual focus lens that is inexpensive and will produce great photos. Again, you take it in the lab and you can see that there's some issues with it. There are issues with every lens, but for $120, $130, I would definitely add this to my kit. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Click on that bell icon so you'll be notified whenever we go live or release a new video. Get out there and have your photo gear fun. We'll see you again in the next one.